Hey all, this is Porty 1119 with Headframe Hunters. We're here for part 3 of the Ash Peak mine in eastern Arizona. So, where we are, someplace we kind of figured we'd run into this. This is the Commerce Shaft. So the Commerce Shaft was the second shaft at the Ash Peak. It dates back to the 1880s, 1890s. And in the later operating period, it was used as an escapeway. I've seen some MSHA documents covering that. So this is a false floor, and then this little doohickey right here, I believe, was a little tool skip for sending jack legs up into the stopes or up the shaft. They might have had an air tugger here. So there's your water, your air and water lines, your utilities, your manway. I've been to the surface on this shaft. It's in bad shape, to put it mildly. Got a mummified rat.
Two of them.
Two of them. They must have fallen down from the surface.
Yeah.
So this shaft is...
Maybe small or something.
Oh, I believe maybe 600 feet deep.
No, James, there's a whole nest of them here.
And looking to the southeast, there's Bradis. So that's old workings. So we're in one of the oldest parts of the Ash Peak. This initially did not continue, or the decline did not initially tie into the Commerce, and they had to... There was some weird stuff with an escapeway on the lower levels of this mine, where MSHA made them drive a drift to the Commerce that required you to go to climb a 300-foot raise from about the 350 level. Then climb the Commerce. And I don't believe the Commerce was equipped for man hoisting any time in the last 50 years. And this kind of leads me to, this tool cage kind of leads me to agree with that, or tool skip. I think they just hoisted supplies. And this is all nailed over the shaft, so I don't think that they planned to work below this level, or plan to hoist below it. But the manway is open. I elected to not cross the other side of the Commerce, but on the other side of that mag door, and this is a timbered manway raise headed up into a shrink stope. It's probably 50 feet up. I'm saying if they'd had landings, I'd already be halfway up there. And then off to the side, here's a skidway for an air tugger to pull drills up, probably with that little tool skip. And then right off here is an ore chute. So we think this was old workings, because again, there's no landings up this raise, and I believe it's 18 feet is the MSHA standard for landings. You got to have them every 18 feet, which is probably a scientific number to minimize the risk of fall injury, or at least dying.
And fatigue.
So just to recap, there's that door that leads into the Commerce Shaft Station. We think it's about 300 level. Then here's your tool pass and your manway and your ore chute. So this is sort of an archetypical shrink stope as far as how it would have been loaded out. And then they were, back in the 80s and 90s, they were using 5-ton young buggies in here. And before then, I saw a reference to some, I don't remember what it was called. It was like a Giant or something. Some kind of little underground truck of a make I've never seen before, and then an IMCO 911 or 912 that they had on inventory in the past. So they came in, Phelps Dodge did, back in '75 with miners from the Bisbee district when they shut down Bisbee to mine silver-bearing siliceous flux for the smelters. And that's sort of what they've been doing here for a while. So the Ash Peak's a bit of a complicated mine, and I do believe the best way to communicate its layout is with a cross-sectional diagram. So this one is from June of 1988, back when Kahneman Resources had the Ash Peak. It's not a very good map, to be honest. It's missing the declines that the Bisbee guys drove. So really, that red star is my best guess of where that video that y'all just watched was shot. It's either at the 200 or the 300 level of the Commerce shaft. I'm not really sure. Anyways, that was the number 4 decline that we came in on, which is where all those shrink stopes and a little bit of long holing was, predominantly shrink stopes though. And the number 2 decline meets the Shamrock shaft, and then there's a long hole stope on the 100 level. I've seen it. I haven't uploaded video of it, but rest assured it is there. Then there's long hole stopes on the 200 level, and some work on the 300, 350. So the later operating period of the Ash Peak, they predominantly worked between the 100 and the 600 level of the Shamrock shaft. A lot of that was straight conventional mining with slushers. I do believe, or I have been told, that there was an LHD on the 600 level, and that was caged down there and then disassembled and removed when they shut down in 93 or 94. So the long hole work that was done in the Ash Peak in the late 80s and early 90s was pioneering. They had Boert Longyear out there. Boert Longyear is a real big player in building long hole drills even to this day. They were doing blind long hole stopes where they'd just drill up about 50, 60 feet into the back of a drift, load it with prill via a pneumatic loader, and then shoot it. I spoke with the superintendent of the Ash Peak about that. He's the superintendent of another mine in the district. He's stuck around, and actually my 911 is on rent to his mine. That escapeway I was describing in the Shamrock shaft, it runs from the 600 level of the Shamrock, then there's a raise up to the 500 level of the Commerce, kind of that dog leg raise in the middle of the screen, then proceeds up the Commerce shaft. So that would have been about 700 feet of vertical climbing to escape from the 600 level. There was an additional escapeway that is located at the bottom of the number 2 decline, about 100 feet from the Shamrock shaft, that runs from the 100 level of the Shamrock down to roughly the 300 or 350 level of the Shamrock. And MSHA decided that was not good enough, especially for the lower levels. And MSHA made them drive that escapeway to the Commerce, which is just a horrible arrangement. It's like a quarter-mile underground. Now imagine doing that with a mine fire and the mine's smoked up, and then you got to climb 700 feet. Just a bad deal all around. Anyways, that's been part 3 of the Ash Peak mine. I've really thoroughly enjoyed exploring this one. There's so much going on there between the different operating periods, and as you can see, we've really just barely scratched the surface of the Ash Peak. So a friend of a friend that has rope gear so that we could potentially safely belay down the Shamrock shaft and get to hopefully at least the 200 level. I've heard there's some cool stuff left down there from guys who worked the mine. At least get down to the 200 level, maybe a little bit further. Just have to keep in mind what we can do safely, because there's a little bit of deterioration of the ladderway in the Shamrock shaft. Just the ladders are kind of rotten. So really got to make sure that we're tied off. I'm looking forward to being able to do that, and hopefully you'll see a video about that in the next few months. Anyway, just before I go, one last thing I wanted to add about the Ash Peak. I tracked down a photo on the Arizona Geological Survey's website showing a young buggy underground at the Ash Peak by a grizzly on top of either an ore pass or a shaft pocket. I haven't found that yet, and if there's a buggy down there, it either would have had to been caged and they would have had to cut the bed lengthwise and weld it back together down at the working level, or it would have had to have been driven in there. So there might be some additional large rubber tire workings that we haven't found yet for whatever reason. Just wanted to throw that in there. It's been a mystery we've been trying to solve for a while. It's been Port 1119 with Head Frame Hunters. Thank you very much for watching. Adios.